What's going on, YouTube? It is your boy, trucker named Jay, checking in. We are back at the clipboard. I kind of like the way the last video went. And welcome to, homie, let me get into the spiel. Welcome to the Life with Jay channel, man. We want to thank you for being here. While you're here, if you like to like, comment, share, whatever, subscribe, all that good stuff. Got to say that, got to make that a habit. I really like the format of how that last board video went. And I forgot to mention something in that video. And so that's what I want to do in this video. And so in this video, it's going to be why I would haul cheap freight. Now, I would like to put a disclaimer out there, okay? I would like to put a disclaimer out there. I am not a trucking expert. I am not a trucking guru. I'm not a business guru. I'm not a business expert. I am nobody but just a guy who is maintaining his situation. And I've always had a YouTube. And so I'm just relaying some of my experiences to the people that choose to watch and subscribe to my videos. I'm not always right. If I'm wrong, I like to think I come and admit it. But if you are looking at these videos as like, you know, oh, I gotta do what he do because I gotta do what he say, please don't look at it like that. Always do your own research. Always understand any situation that you're gonna put yourself into, especially when you're talking about signing contracts, whether it's for a lease, finance, whatever. Always, if it's one thing if I don't tell you nothing else, man, please always understand your situation as a whole, and understand the big picture of how your situation plans to play out. You know what I mean? What's good for you right now may not be good for you in a year. What's good right now may not be good in 4 years. You know what I mean? So I never want to come off as I'm coming up here and giving like hardcore information, like no, this is based off my experience, based off what I believe, and I don't, anybody who don't agree, hey, man, that's fine, man. It's a million other YouTubers with more subscribers, more trucks, more everything. So that's just, I want to put that out there because I don't want nobody to think that I'm coming up here telling anybody to do anything. I'm just sharing my shit. And as far as I've seen, good luck trying to get fleet owners to share their numbers like this, because all people gonna do is criticize or got some shit to talk or whatever. Tell me, oh, you leaving too much money on the table and blah 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 blah, whatever. So with that being said, why I would haul cheap freight. So what we're gonna use as an example and for those who don't understand what an example means, that means that none of these numbers that I write on this board are gonna be concrete. This is an example purpose. The same way when you was in school, and you would open your textbook and they had different examples in there. That's all I'm doing. It's not real. So if some people feel that I may be leaving some things out that may be of importance, this is based off of just an example. That's it. Like, that's it, okay? Just want to make sure we clarify because some people overread into things sometimes, I think. So, and this used to happen to me a lot when I was running in 2020. So these numbers are going to be based off of those numbers from 2020 because obviously I wouldn't give you guys up-to-date numbers of what I'm making right now. Like, why would I do that? I haven't even paid taxes on that money yet. Why would I tell you how much money I'm making right now before I tell the IRS? That would just be stupid, right? Like, nobody doing that, right? That's why everybody posts their gross. That's why you can never get anybody to admit their net because they ain't paid taxes on it yet. They don't want to be out here telling everybody they making all this money and then when it comes to the IRS, they trying to tell them they ain't made no money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that just don't make a lot of sense if you're thinking logically, but nobody seems to do that anymore. Anyways, so a lot of times back in 2020 when I was in the truck, what I would do is I would run a cheap load to California because the loads that were coming out of California at that time were just paying ridiculous. We were getting essential loads of hand sanitizer, which we didn't really have to use our logs for. And things were paying really well at that time, at that point. Now I can't speak for right now because, again, I'm not putting out that information. I'm giving you guys old examples. So what would happen is I would get, make sure I got my paperwork right. I would get a 2,000 mile load, right? 2,000 miles. And that load may be coming a lot of times it'd be coming somewhere out of like the bottom of the Midwest, like a Oklahoma, or maybe even out of the Southeast. But a lot of times it's like Texas, Oklahoma, and it would be headed west. And it would either be going to northern Cali, middle of Cali, so you would come over, then have to go up. So that's why it's 2,000 miles. It's like, because it's really only like 1,500 miles or so, depending on what part of Texas you're going to, what part of Cali, you know. But anyways, and that load, let's just say for example purposes, those loads would pay $1.75. So we're gonna do 2,000 miles times $1.75. As we explained in the other video with the clipboard, that is considered cheap freight, especially if you got somebody in your truck and you got a lease truck and you got all these crazy expenses. So that totals out to $3,500. All right. So let's just go through this as if we're taking out all the expenses that this particular example has for that week. So for this week, for this particular example, you're going to subtract the 20%, which is $700. They give you $2,800, right? Then you subtract fuel. I went through the process of fuel. I'll break it down to you guys. I'm not going to write it out. The 2,000 miles divided by 6.5 miles per gallon, which is 307, times $4 is what I'm using again for an example for diesel. Which is probably, you know, pretty accurate going towards Cali, coming from somewhere out the Midwest or Southeast, which you're going to average because it'll be cheaper when you start. But by the time you get in Arizona, Cali is, and that was $1,230. $1,230, which leaves $1,570. And you minus the truck payment, and that's $1,071 is what that 2,000 miles is going to pay out after you incorporate fuel. You take the 20% that this particular example was going to have for, you know, the percentage for the authority, and truck payment. So for those 2,000 miles that you drove as a solo lease driver, you only made $1,000, right? Which of course is, people say that's bad, right? And then if you have a driver in the truck, minus what you would pay that driver, which of course is 2,000 miles. And for this example, we're going to say we're paying the driver 75 cents a mile. That's actually going to be negative $429. So if you are a solo lease driver, that load paid out $1,071. If you have somebody in the truck and you paying them a decent wage, that load cost you $429, right? So let's go to the next load. So of course on the next load, you're hoping to, I knew this was gonna look bad. That is terrible. Hold on right quick. Let me get these alcohol wipes. On the next load, you're hoping to make your money up. That's the only reason why you took the chance in hauling that freight that was below average of what was, you know, potentially being offered across the nation or whatever. And you're hoping that with that next load, and that's what a lot of times will happen, you know, you'll take that load with a promise from a dispatcher that, oh, the next load, you know, and it don't always work out like that, I will say. But a lot of times, if you have a good dispatcher, which everybody is against, let me go get something. Be right back. A lot of times, if you have a good dispatcher, they won't let you down. But, you know, sometimes, you know, shit happens. But let's just say for this example, your next load. Hey, what did I do with the marker? Next load is going to pay it's coming out of Cali, and this happened to me a lot. It's coming out of Cali. It's going somewhere in the Southeast or maybe back up in the Midwest. And it's going 2,000 miles. And it's paying $3.50 a mile. Now, some people will say that's not a high-paying load, that's maybe not a load that you should, like, look forward to after pulling freight that cheap. But you got, again, this is based off of freight that I ran back in 2020. So back in summer of 2020, fall of 2020, $3.50 to me at that time was great. Like, it was really like above average is what I thought. But maybe I was wrong. But again, I don't know everything. So what that equals out to is $7,000, right? So go through the same process, minus the 20%, which is $1,400 in this case. Why did I do that? Oh, no, I did right. Look, I'm tripping. So that's $5,600 minus the same fuel, which is $12.30, which is $43.70, minus the truck payment. My handwriting is terrible, and I'm going to take it up here. And that is $3,871 that you would make as a solo driver. Now, if you got a driver in the truck, it's $2,371. So that load is paying great, especially in comparison to that cheap shit you just ran 2,000 miles to get to that. And a lot of times, especially with, I can't speak to like having my own authority, but as far as like leasing a truck and leasing a truck on to a motor carrier and having a dispatcher or working with, you know, brokers and a load board, things like that, this is what, you know, you'll have to do sometimes, you know, for those who are new to it. Now, those that are experienced, they're going to say, oh, this is common sense. Again, common sense ain't as common as you think it is, so I'm explaining it, dumbing it down for those who are, I'm pretty much talking to my former self, like my older self. Like, there are some people out there that might be in a similar situation to that. So that's why I'm explaining it like this, because maybe nobody explained it to them at that time. So, but anyway, so you run that load, you make $3,871. You had somebody in the truck, you made $23.71. Now, what does that look like overall? Let's find out. Let's erase this shit. Let's erase all this and see how that plays out over the course of both loads. All right. And then I want to explain something else that happens a lot to lease drivers that I've seen, and they get very confused or, like, you know, they get upset over it. I used to as well, until I started getting better with my money and understanding the big picture. So, if we look at the big picture, the first week, we made, as a solo driver, $1,071. The second week, or the second load, I should say, we made $38.71. So between those two loads, over the course of 4,000 miles, of course, as a solo driver, we made $49.42. Or you can look at it as we made $2,471 a week. And a lot of times when you get your settlement, you know, what ends up happening is everybody can't run 4,000 miles in a week. I only done it one time in my whole trucking career. 4,000 miles in a week. That's a lot. So a lot of people say they can do that shit, but I just ain't seen it a lot. So what'll end up happening is the second load that you do coming out of California in this example, 9 times out of 10, unless it's an essential load or it got some special where you don't gotta, you know, run your logs, it's not gonna be on the same pay period as that first load. So you may get one settlement that may be negative that week. You don't make no money, but then the next one, that money come. And you know, a lot of people struggle with that. especially out the gate in the beginning, either because their finances isn't as solidified as they should be, or they just don't have a understanding of maybe how their payroll works, which is, you'd be surprised how much that happens, especially for company drivers. But yeah. So for those 4,000 miles as a solo driver, you made $4,942, which, in my opinion, ain't bad. It really ain't bad. That's not a bad, you know what I mean? In my opinion, pulling that cheap freight to get to that load, paying more at that time, was worth it to me. It was worth it, you know what I'm saying? Now, as a fleet owner or somebody, you want to have somebody in the truck, let's look at how those numbers play out. Let me know if you guys like these videos, or if, I'll probably still keep doing them anyways, but any feedback that you can offer on this type of format would be greatly appreciated. I'm trying to find different things to do on the board like this for my lease drivers in specific, just to try to help out, put things down on paper so they can see it. Some people need to see it written out versus you just talking to them on the phone. So anything I can do to help my fellow lease drivers, whether at VL or not, anything that I can, just let me know in the comments. But let's go back to same thing, 4,000 miles. For a fleet owner, the 1 week you made negative $429, plus that second week you made $23.71, which totals out to $1,942, which of course over the course of 2 weeks is $971. And it's really just that simple. It's the same thing, 4,000 miles, so it may not always be on one settlement, but that's ultimately what you made is $1,900, almost $1,950 to run those 4,000 miles, or have those 4,000 miles ran. So, some people might say that this is a little low for that, but in my opinion, I'm okay with that. And maybe that's the difference between me and some others. Again, it's all about just, showing people what it looks like and allowing them the opportunity to decide what's best for them. I think we kind of gotten away from that in trucking to where we don't even give people the opportunity to see what's best for them. We just try to force what we think is best for them on them. I see that a lot in trucking. I see it a lot on StreamYards. I see it a lot in trucking groups. And I just try not to participate with that, man. Let people got to go through their own walk, their own journey, and that may not always look like yours. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. But anyways, so yeah, so you made, $19,971, and this is just an example of, like I said, a situation to where cheap freight will be pulled. Now, is it right? I'll leave that to your interpretation. You know what I mean? I think that sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get to better freight. If you don't have direct customers, if you are in a lease and you really don't understand the market, which is another reason why leasing is such a great option, because you can get in your lease and learn these things. Imagine going from a company driver to straight into financing your own truck, and you don't understand how that works. I'm not saying, that's what people are doing, but it's a possibility. That's what, a lot of people are telling you to do, to go straight from being a company driver to jumping out there in your own truck, and you just really don't understand how all this fits in with each other, and that could be a disaster as well. And sometimes even just having a low cost of operation won't save you if you just don't have a general business sense of how the freight moves and things going on and know how to do your own research. So again, I'm just trying to put it out to show people, an example of when you may have to pull some freight. Because in a perfect world, everybody ain't just going to sit until they get $3.50 or $2, whatever the rate. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you got to bite the bullet unless you just willing to sit. And a lot of times, most drivers ain't. And it ain't because of expenses or none of that shit. Nobody just don't want to sit. You know what I mean? If you're telling me it's a great paying load and it's Monday, but it don't leave until Wednesday, I don't want to sit for 2 days unless I'm at the crib. if I'm in the middle of Kansas, man, find me something to get me out of here. And we'll make it up on the next load is a lot of times what I would say. You know, I'll make it up on the next load. And maybe that's the wrong way of doing it. I'm open to being wrong. I'm open to being, you know, educated more. Because at the end of the day, I still want to stay in this business and stay profitable. So any information, the knowledge I can get is only going to, you know, secure that future for me. But that's just the mindset I have when I was in my truck. This is the mindset I have as I allow my trucks to be dispatched, to where every load ain't going to be over the top, light, and going, you know what I'm saying? It just ain't. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get to that, you know what I'm saying, and make it work. So, but that's all I got for this video, man. I hope it was helpful to somebody. Again, any requests you may have for this type of video, let me know. I'm just trying to, again, like I said, I'm just trying to help my people, as somebody tried to use it against me in the comment section. It's crazy. But I'm just trying to help my people any way I can, and try to give people an example and some things to think about while they out there leasing the truck, learning, and trying to make money, man. That's all. As always, y'all know the vibes. Stay safe, stay positive, stay productive, God Family Trucking. I'll check you next video, man. I'm gone.